Do you think the photogrammetry is dead?
Most of the companies are using Unity, but Unreal has always better visuals.
First touches with NERFS and 3D Gaussian Splatting, you were quite hesitating.
I wouldn't say I was hesitating, I was totally against. It's also not a task for clients to be educated in the technologies. We decide to combine laser scanning, photogrammetry and Gaussian splatting. You have no chance to recognize whether it's reality or not. Digital reconstruction of Machu Picchu. We had to also get rid of the Gaussians, but we were using or creating our own 360 environments. This is like traveling in time. It took us 1 year almost to process everything.
What was the size of the team? We should go all in with the 3D Gaussian Splatting. It is going to play a big part on next year's 3 Days Big.
"2D is against my religion."
Tomas, in my post that I when I announced that we are going to do this webinar, I called you a demigod of photogrammetry. Do you have any idea, or would you mind to explain to people why I call you a demigod of photogrammetry?
I think that's something what you do since we know each other. That I'm in photogrammetry field. I would say like something more than 10 years, which I might not be the one who is there the longest. I mean, there are definitely people who are using photogrammetry for over 20 years when it was really about like pitching points and merging them, but
Almost manually.
almost manually or manually. But in this, like, let's say a modern way of photogrammetry, it's I started to play with it pretty early, and I started to play with it besides my core job. So it was always a hobby, and I was always trying to play with it, to create something, and I always like to break the, I wouldn't say like rules, but try to push the limits. So like the first things I started to do was like a winter country, like capturing snow because it shouldn't work. Then we had some like ice statues, and then we started to capture like bigger and bigger areas. And luckily also, like when we just started the company, one of the first things or first project we got was to digitize a big part of our capital, Bratislava. And we have done there around 60,000 images plus, and the project was ongoing. We reached around 100,000 images.
60,000, one of the first projects.
One of the first like official projects, because as I said, like we had this as a, or also I did this mainly for fun aside my job, and we were able to create very nice results, but not as commercial projects. So we actually kind of like build it up the portfolio. We even with this most of non-commercial project, we went to RealityCapture that time, or capturing reality studio at that time, because they are based in Slovakia, and we just showed them what we do. We said like, hey, we would like to use a Slovak software. Let's find and create some collaboration. So one of the things I'm also proud of, that back in, I don't know, 2016 or 17, we've created a full show reel for the RealityCapture itself, for the software, a promotion only with our projects and in our production. So it was kind of very nice collaboration that we could work so closely since we started, and therefore we were getting a lot of attention. We're doing it more for fun. We had time and we had space to create very nice and beautiful results. And then working closely with reality capturing and promoting their stuff, they were promoting our stuff. We were shown more and more. So then when we started to be commercial, we were able to gain a big projects.
So maybe just for people to understand, I will show that we are talking about this. Now it's called RealityScan. Before it was acquired and rebranded, it was called RealityCapture. You said, Thomas, that your face, the photo of your face, is on their wall. Could you explain that?
That was a long time back. Yeah, they were calling me for a long time back finder, because as we were using the software so early time, like when it was like, or it was used a lot, but we are really like kind of pushing the boundaries and having this 60,000 image project back in 2016 or 17. That was something what was pushing the boundaries of also of the software. So we were on like a kind of daily calls where where I was still coming like, hey, I have a problem. And that was very nice because it brought us close. And like as the teams are in Slovakia, we could speak our language, so it was pretty straightforward. And I really enjoyed that time. And yeah, therefore, like whenever there was a new release, we were coming very early with some like things like, hey, here maybe something, or even if it's not a bug, maybe sometimes just a feature request. When you work with such a big project, you reach the limits, and you're always like asking, hey, could this be faster, better, different? So yeah, but the software, I love that software, so it's.
I think you mentioned one important thing. Maybe a lot of people don't realize this, but if you are entering the especially new markets, when back then the photogrammetry and 3D scanning was definitely a new market with new projects, it's very important to gain some traction, to get some feedbacks, some reference projects, because all of these business gurus are always saying like, don't start with free projects because it will diminish your presence on the in the field, and you will be running these like loops to the zero and to the ground. So what's your opinion? Like, could you do this in any other way from the beginning?
I would maybe clarify here something, that we were not offering the projects to like market for free. It was more we were doing our portfolio. So it's something where you do a project, you build a project, you make showcases, but it was not that we had like 100 projects where we did it for €5 to clients just to gain them. It was more really like trying to learn the technology and learn and read all the tutorials and see manuals and try to push wherever we can go. And as we combine it since the beginning with Unreal Engine, or like with game engines, and because I didn't want it to just create a copy of the reality, we always try to like enhance it and do it in a beautiful way. And it doesn't mean like you're creating a fake. It was just like to enhance the quality of the scan, or like bring the past look of these places, and that made our portfolio. But yeah, this is complicated. Whenever you are starting a company and you want to appear on the market, I think most often the thing is that you are one man show or two people. You don't have an office. You are doing everything from home, so the costs are different. So even if you want to just stay with the same margin as a big company, of course you are ending up with cheaper prices, and this is maybe then complicated to balance or say what is like the right price to don't undercut the other cost. But I know where you're leading with this question, but for the starting businesses, I believe everybody goes the same path.
Mhm, mhm. How long did it take to get your first real paid job?
So, and here would be this hard question, because as we just started with it as for fun, or like discovering the technology, the target was not since the beginning to build a company out of this. It was more like, hey, nice technology. I was working as a designer, and also my partner that time, he was doing and flying with drones, making marketing videos. So we both had like a lot of other projects, and that was kind of like a conclusion of our like partnership, and we knew what each other is doing, and this created or brought us to photogrammetry. And then when we saw what it can achieve, then we started to think like, hey, maybe that's a good thing, or good technology to also be used commercially. So I don't know, probably like since the first moment, it took us maybe a few months to get a paid project because we had some contacts from other our businesses, so we just brought them in and we did this upsell with photogrammetry. But I would say like within half year then we had also like that like very big project. And since then it just went like also just by word reference, I would say. Like we didn't push much about website or marketing or anything. It just went through our existing clients, and step by step we're getting yeah, the projects. So it was
Before we
kind of
jump,
smooth.
yeah, before we jump further, I like to point out also one achievement in your life right before the 3D scanning, because you were working for Volkswagen as a
Yes.
designer. So just tell me in a few words what you did there.
So I was a car designer, and like first years I was working with the motorsport and doing the race cars. Then I transitioned to another team, and the achievement you are pointing to was actually like one of my last projects before I left Volkswagen, and it was that there was an internal competition. So always like designers got a task, and we compete against each other. And one of those competitions was to recreate the identity of Volkswagen and the new Volkswagen logo. And I was the winner of that competition. So actually, like my proposal turned into a redesign of logo, which you can currently see on all the cars and car
So since
dealerships.
which year you can see your logo on cars?
I would say it's end of 2019, 2020, so 5 years.
Okay, okay. So that might be quite a lot of portion, or the market share on roads, right?
That that's definitely like all of these. Like of course, like you have a lot of older cars on the market, but even when you see just rebranded stores or like dealerships or car service, everybody had to rebrand to this. So actually, like wherever I go, I see that logo. It's funny that still after 5 years, I'm look, driving a car. That's mine. So it's nice feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to photogrammetry, and to not the transition but the realization of what 3D Gaussian splatting can actually do. Because I remember it was like 3 years ago, like the first touches with NERFS and 3D Gaussian splatting. You were quite hesitating, but it changed very soon. Like what happened?
I wouldn't say I was hesitating. I was totally
I
against.
would, I would.
I was expecting this sentence from you. But that was the time when the nerve came. So, like the first nerves, it was like interesting technology, but as everything what we were doing was focused on the performance because we were creating interactive experiences. So, whether you go to VR, AR, or other applications, you always need to be optimized. And when the nerve pop up, we try to use them, and it was like you could achieve like interesting results, and you could also brought them to engine, do something with them. But very soon we realized that all nerves were consuming more performance than all the photogrammetry. It was different approach, but I didn't really see the benefits. So it was kind of like, yeah, something different, interesting, but I don't see the benefits. So I was like, we tried a lot, we spent some time on it, and I didn't see any good results since the 3DGS came. And there where that was like a huge change because suddenly we saw that okay, different approach, you don't get watertight models, but we were able to recreate from few images very beautiful environments which were visually very very nice. And that was the time when most of the users started to compare it like, hey, but it's inaccurate, it's not watertight. It's like a lot of like cons and not so much of pros. But as we were focused on, for me, like visual stuff and the performance, both of that was enhanced by Gaussian splatting. So we just like immediately grabbed that. And yeah, you remember one of the first trials where we actually, maybe I can just share it quickly.
Ju-
Uh,
just uh, just so that you have time to run it on your computer. Just answer me this question: do you think the photogrammetry is dead?
No.
Okay, I was
No,
expecting a little bit longer answer.
yeah, actually, this is the question we or like the points we are always discussing, and many times there are like, I wouldn't say now people are saying like photogrammetry or Gaussian splatting. I see there are a lot of discussions between laser scanning and Gaussian splatting, because who is using laser scanning doesn't like Gaussian splatting and opposite, and somehow like these two technologies bridging together are giving you the options of like getting the right scale and having two different outputs. But there is still photogrammetry, which is creating the 3D models in a different space, or a different way. And I would say like probably in the best way. So the 3D mesh model, it's still like the best from photogrammetry. And therefore, I'm always saying like you have these three technologies which you can use as a layers. So you have laser scanning, you have photogrammetry, and you have Gaussian splatting. And that's like when we figure out how to combine these three things, I was like extremely happy that we kind of achieved perfect results with way less effort. And like starting with laser scanning, we got the proper measurements. That was even in the time when there was this biggest discussion that the Gaussian splatting are totally unuseful because of the scale. And what we have done actually was that we had 3D scanned, so laser scan model combined with photogrammetry, which we used as a reference, and then we just manually scaled the Gaussian splatting to match that size, and we use it for the backdrop scenes or backgrounds. So all the surrounding, which we normally had to like create from 360 images, which were then like unable to be relighted. So you always had like 360 image from a sunset, and then you had like whatever part of the day in the entire scene, and it was never matching well. And so the first things we were starting to do were like having these backdrop scenes matched with the proper lighting to the core of the scene, and still correctly scaled, and using like all the advantages of scanning in the close detail and the advantages of the Gaussian splatting in the background. So that was kind of the way how we did it and how we used it. And I will just
I know that your projects are quite a big scale usually. So even if you are going to show us some 3D Gaussian splitting, it's not really going to be of a small objects, but rather
exactly.
bigger scenes. Ideally combined with other assets in Unreal Engine or
Can you see
whatever.
already that? Sorry for jumping there.
No, no, no. I'm giving intro, but I will share this right away.
This is actually like one of the first things we did as a test. So it's probably 3 years old, where we especially did like some like mesh surfaces below to bring back the geometry, to show that you can combine these Gaussian splats without the physics with some surfaces which allow you to then create the collisions or the objects to stand. And as we are doing most of our projects focused on cultural heritage and digitization of cultural heritage, this was also like one of our targets to immediately show it with some castle and heritage, which actually led immediately to a project where we had a client who wanted to showcase in VR the heritage place. So that's what you can see. And we just saw in this first test how well we can recreate the entire surrounding, the entire environment. And here you can see like laser scanning and photogrammetry of the detailed
Building.
let's call it
Yeah.
castle building, and the entire environment from Gaussian splats. And then we just brought it into a VR streamed. So it didn't work, and it still doesn't work well with just like not streamed. So directly
On a
like headset
standalone.
place, standalone.
It,
Thank you very
it
much.
doesn't work good on standalone. Yeah, okay.
Yes, so you still need like the GPU performance. There are already multiple applications which are showing like kind of support, where it works, but it's still the beginning. But yeah, this was like one of the start. I can stop sharing here to just get back to the topics. But this was really the first touch for us, where we created something which led immediately to a project, to commercial project. And actually, we didn't plan to put the Gaussian splatting into that project because we got it before. Uh, we were like used to use the Gaussian splats, but it totally changed the pipeline because we could play with this change of lighting and matching environments and all of that, and that was really pushed forward.
Mhm. Since then, did you like ever had a project with a request for Gaussian splatting, or it's always more of your way how to stand out or do some bonuses for your clients? Or
We have some requests where the clients are asking about Gaussian splats, especially because they are also aware of the quality, the visual quality of the reconstruction. But that's more a seldom thing because you have to have like two sides which understand the technology. That means like your client needs to be very well educated in the technology that he's asking for it. But I'm
which he
also
usually is not.
yeah, but it's also not a task for clients to be educated in the technologies. Like my point of view here is that the clients are coming to you with the request of either I want a very accurate digital copy of certain object, or I want an immersive or interactive experience, whether it's VR or AR. So these are general tasks or requests which you're getting, and then they want the best result. And I'm here to be educated in the new technologies or the technologies to be able to support them and tell them like, okay, we will create it in this way and that way. We always try to educate also the clients. So I'm trying to explain them like which kind of technologies we are using, what could be benefit and like pros and cons. But you have to see the technical level of and technical knowledge of your clients before you really jump
Mhm.
into the explaining of all the
But
technologies.
yeah, this makes total sense because, for example, if I let's say you are looking or the client is looking for a self-driving car, right? And we know that there are like two main ways, maybe one with the lidar technology, one with visual only that is preferred by Elon Musk with Tesla. But at the end, the client is not asking about which technology is being used. He's asking for a self-driving car, right? And as long as it's working, he doesn't really care. So it's up to the developer, it's up to the construction team, and in this case, in a service providing company, to pick the best possible solution within the budget that you can, right?
Exactly, this is always like that. Like you are getting tasks and you need to either accept them and try to find a solution for them, or maybe if you have another knowledge about others which are using it, you can send the client somewhere else if it's not the technology which you are using or you are able to create. But I wouldn't expect from a client to come to me and say like use this technology because that would be the best results. I don't think this is a common.
No, that's totally true. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. Can you show us some other examples? I know
Yes.
that people are here waiting for the Machu Picchu project, so
So
we are getting there. Don't worry, but we don't want to show you the
the end of
biggest
the beginning.
project at the beginning.
I wouldn't the funny thing is that like biggest than biggest. So like the like one of the biggest projects we had was the one I mentioned with the images which I'm also showing, the city digitization, but biggest in case of like the content which is there, but it's not the biggest
Mm,
project
mm,
in digitization. It was more like
mm.
because it was like storytelling, it was with
Yeah.
like movie and the entire system on the backend, which we'll talk about. But let me share again something. So that was I have just like two other projects and one example, and then we get to also Machu Picchu digitization. But this is another project where we decide to combine laser scanning, photogrammetry, and Gaussian splatting, but not in the way to recreate the realistic environment, but in a way of recreating the artistic environment. So we had still like focused on the church, and you can see the splats in the surrounding, which are there just like a loose city, but still reacting with the sun and lighting conditions. So that's again another approach where you don't have to use the Gaussian splats as like super high quality or high detailed reference, but you can use it as like here the artistic use case. And here you see the transition of like how this was used as an end product, and that's the touch application, yeah, where you can like play around, read something about the place. So again, like very educative and educative application, which is helping people to see the place from the perspectives they would not be able to see. So, for example, if you visit this cathedral, you're never able to go that close to that picture or to see it from the upper perspectives, and therefore it's kind of nice to combine this with also real visits. Yeah, so we are not replacing the reality; we are enhancing it and helping people to see it in a different way. And here is the project I was talking about. So this is one of the first we have done, even though this part is already like from the newer years, so it's add-on to the project. But what I'm showing here is like how much effort and how many images we had to create. So this was just 30,000 images shown. That's like a smaller area of this entire project. But even though 30,000 images to recreate these visuals. And when we move further, and I show you like how we brought it to Unreal Engine to bring there another buildings, to recreate everything, put there the lighting, very complex project. And then you take Gaussian splats, you put there like 500 images, and you recreate the place which is still visually correct. You see the glass on top, so you don't have to work that much with the data to be able to show what you want to show. And oops, sorry. And here we can see like how you can bring light into that, put some lights into the buildings and all of that, that you still see the entire city, you see the atmosphere, and you are able to lit that and change the settings. And that's for me like very amazing. And
This is crazy
yeah,
good. If you use this scene in a movie, for example, just for a shortcut, like
yeah,
you wouldn't be able to realize that this is not a video from the drone.
exactly. And the benefit of that, like when you mentioned movie production, is that when they use the LED screen and virtual production of the movie capturing, is that there is always focus on the actor in front. So they even put a little micro blur for the backdrop scenes, even though they should help to remove the feeling that you see the LEDs there. So it's always slightly blurred, and then you have no chance to recognize whether it's reality or not. And a lot of movie studios or film studios are now using this as a quick capturing technique, which is used for the backdrop scenes. And yeah, also Mate from Pixelmondo was showcasing this on Last Three Dice when you could see like that they are building their own photo rigs for quick captures and then using it in the movie production. So very, very nice technology.
Mhm. So
And yeah,
from the technique point of view, you are using photogrammetry basically for or photogrammetry workflows basically for capturing the scene. What do you use for processing of 3D Gaussian splatting and for further usage in different scenes? We mentioned Unreal Engine already, but can you just walk us through your workflow?
so most of the time we keep the pipeline which we had since the beginning. That means we are using photogrammetry softwares, mostly RealityScan, for processing the data, making the first registration of the image capture. We use this software because we are combining often the data with laser scanning as well. And many times the output of our projects is not like either technical scanning or the visual or marketing tool. We many times deliver both. That means we go through laser scanning pipelines, process them in one software, merge with photogrammetry, and then export these registrations, which goes from RealityScan to PostShot most of the time, where we process and train the Gaussian splats. And from there, we export it and go to Unreal Engine, where we again either combine it with the processed laser scanning and photogrammetry, or we keep one or the other.
Mhm.
So that's
A
like
little,
very simplified way of.
yeah. A little technical question, because you mentioned that you export the registration from RealityScan and then you use it in a post shot. Have you done any tests, any comparisons of when you do the alignment in RealityScan compared to when you leave the post shot do also the alignment with the call map?
As I mentioned, we had some, like when it's not a commercial project, we sometimes just run it in PostShot, so that's also like possible. But we found it more or like bigger limitations in a PostShot only when you are processing something. So when you have more images, it's taking longer, or maybe you also reach some limit with the amount of images when you do it PostShot only or other softwares for Gaussian splats. Therefore, like we prefer to keep the pipeline and go through our known steps, because we are not focused only on creating pure Gaussian splats. And therefore, if I would do it just in PostShot, for example, then I'm doing 2 times the same registration, and that's not really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have like a comparison in times of whether this is better than that or faster. We just more use this kind of a good pipeline for us.
But this might be a good quest for me, just to create some video and content about comparison of some data sets aligned in RealityScan compared to aligned in a post shot. So yeah, I will write this down, and maybe we can do next year some interesting tests and interesting video. We have a longer question here about the Quest 3 and Super Splats. Have you ever tested, like, we don't need to like figure out it right now, if you need to or you have not done any tests with Quest 3, we can skip this question and just try to answer it afterwards. But
So the showcase I was showing was done on Quest 3, streaming from the from like Unreal Engine application where the Gaussian splats were used. So let me see the question. Okay, like it's the question is whether we can use splats bigger than 30 megabytes, and this is something what I would have to test. Yeah, so it's, or I would have to check with my team whether and how big it was, because that I didn't test, and especially because the end product or the end application which was tested was the Unreal Engine app combined with other data, and they are normally in like gigabytes, so it's like it's bigger, and the stream of that worked. So yeah, hard to say whether clean, but we can test it, we can try to see it and maybe get back to you, Clement. Maybe it's good just to bridge the question about the size and
yeah.
the Gaussian splats, because I just pulled up, meanwhile we're speaking, one project, and I just checked the amount of the images in PostShot. So we have there 10,800 images in PostShot for the Gaussian splat, which is part of the city. So maybe that's one worth it to show before we jumped into, let's say, one last project. So let me share that. So here it is. Like you can see the amount of images here, and I can do it also in that way. So it's kind of image only coverage. And this was a project where we need like visually test various places around the city and choose the best, where we also have done the like laser, the photogrammetry, laser scanning, everything is also processed in mesh. And but what I specifically like here about this is that you are getting totally different approach, especially if you're speaking about like visuals, where we can still see the trees in the structures they are, And why this is important, because as here we needed to showcase various positions from different spots and show how they are blending different things behind. And whenever you do laser scanning or photogrammetry, like you have a tree like this, you see the in the middle, and this will be definitely not there. So that means like laser scanning and photogrammetry would probably chop off the tree here in the half size, and you would have the much better visibility. So again, a use case where you can say that like without Gaussian splats, we would not be able to, let's say, accomplish this task, because it would not
But
be accurate.
not only the vegetation and trees and everything, but also
Yeah,
if you look at those railroad and
yeah.
the bridge, all these iron structures and railings, these you wouldn't be able to see those on photogrammetry project.
And also when you see the glass here,
Mhm.
yeah. So again, like you're moving and you really see how it is in reality, and therefore like maybe when I come very close now, it was not for detail, it was not captured for being standing here. So of course, like this is not probably the quality you would need or you would want, but if you are on the right spots there where you need, you can always like see it. Yeah, as Michael said, you see the rails, you see like everything what you need. And again, the process was registration in RealityScan first, georeferencing the images, and exporting them here already referenced. That means we have the proper scales.
Sorry, if you're saying georeferencing, do you mean that you are referencing the scene afterwards, or do you just use priors from your images?
No, we did like ground control points, measuring with GNSS station, and like referencing those points in RealityCapture to achieve like a high accuracy,
Okay.
and then exporting it. So yeah, not only priors from the
So
images.
the image registration is coming out from already georeferenced model.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then we send the model to client so that we uploaded it to Mira. So because Mira app is also now supporting the Gaussian splats and also supporting georeferencing, and you have measuring tools there. So you could, like the client could just easily then measure distances, sizes, heights, and everything what they need in pretty straightforward way without installing anything. And so I really like this kind of approach.
Oh, I think we already explained this, but Alan is asking whether you are using RTK on your drone.
We do, but always, if possible, we just in the later steps of like processing, we remove all the priors from the images and we just switch it to the georeferencing on the ground, because that's the most accurate. And you can use the RTK or GPS from the drones for quick registration. That means it helps you to put the images on the right spots to register, to create very nice alignment. But still, even RTK on the drone, you have like plus minus 20 centimeters, especially in z-axis. So you are not that accurate if you do your ground control points and then measure them.
And also with RTK information, you are always like importing possible error, because you can get weaker signal with satellites or whatever transmission error on getting the right data. So and the software is afterwards working with that, so you can easily end up with misaligned or misregistered planes or spaces, or you can get that banana effect on the data set. So yes, as Tomas said, it would be better to really use targets on the ground and ground control points to at least verify, if not directly to use it for for referencing your project.
Like if I would do it, like we do a lot of trainings for reality capturing pipelines. And I always suggest that if you want the best accuracy, you always should use the GPS or RTK from the drones only for the first registration. And always, when possible, and when you can make ground control points, then rely on the measurements of the ground control points because they are always the most accurate.
Hmm. We have a question here from Azael.
Yeah. Uh, so again, like it really depends. It depends on what is your target output. So if you just want to show and test your data and let's say make new lighting or maybe make a nice video, you can use Nanite and Lumen in Unreal, which is helping you to just, I would say, like drag and drop your data there. But be careful, there are also limitations. Like if you're exporting your model and you have like huge model and you keep it as a one piece, then your computer will have hard time because it needs to process everything. So if you want to help and speed your pipelines, you always need to divide your project or your mesh into multiple smaller meshes, upload it there. That doesn't mean you are doing LODs. Also in the RealityScan, you can just export by parts and you will have like 300 parts of your project and you upload it to Unreal, and that can help you to process the nanite. So you also need to pre-process that. So if you would do just the showcase project, then I wouldn't really think much about optimization, LODs. I would just do this like parts division, which I mentioned, and upload to Unreal, use Nanite, and use Lumen for creating a nice scene. That's the easiest and most straightforward way. And you are also mentioning how it is with Gaussian splats. So this is kind of the same way. So you are exporting PLI from PostShot, for example, or SuperSplat or any other app, and uploading it to Unreal. And you can use
Do
the
you
same,
think?
yeah, again, like lighting and all of these. But now there is, as these are not so heavy data, the pipeline is then pretty straightforward.
Mhm. Do you think we can go to the Machu Picchu project?
Yes, I have it ready. So we can just.
Maybe you could give us just a short intro. What is the project about? What was the final delivery of the project?
So the project was and the project was about digitizing Machu, or like creating a digital reconstruction of Machu Picchu. That means creating the Machu Picchu from 15th century, how it looked before when Incas were living there. So we were reconstructing on like photogrammetry scan model. We were reconstructing the buildings. We were speaking with historians and reconstructing or creating a character design of people which were living there, how they looked like, what they were wearing. But this was more in a cartoonish way because the target of the project was to create immersive or interactive, let's call it immersive movie for virtual experience in a free room. So that means you are walking in the venues. So you have a space between 300 to 500 square meters. You get your headset and you are walking in the venue, and you have a guided tour through you have the guided tour through Machu Picchu. So your guide is explaining you what people were doing there, what they believed in. So some mythology, some past thoughts, and it's a combination of like photorealistic environments and kind of like a cartoon story and cartoon characters for engaging also younger audience. So it's more like, I would call it like historically accurate because the stories are based on the informations we got from like historians or books about Incas, but it's explained in more entertainment way. So it's not some, I don't want to say like boring historical movie, but it's more that you can go there with your family, spend nice 40 minutes and see something like if you go to cinema.
Maybe can you tell us where, like, in Central Europe, or where are the nearest expositions? Or
So in Europe, it's open right now in Vienna, Madrid, Berlin, and London. So those are like four here around us. Then there is a Singapore venue opened, and uh, two in US and one in Sao Paulo. So
Mhm.
already like around 10 places around the world where you are able to see this VR experience.
I can just say that I have tried it, I have seen it, and it's amazing. So if you have a chance to go there, you are living somewhere close, or you are staying somewhere close to these venues, just go ahead and go and try it.
You can
Okay.
try, you can just simply, or maybe we can share a website later. It's just like VR Machu Picchu, and you are able to find the venues around.
Meanwhile, Michael is asking whether you have used 360 cameras to take photos and videos and use it for 3D Gaussian splatting.
So I would start here with the point that again it started with the standard photogrammetry pipelines. So you have the processed photogrammetry here in RealityScan, or that was in the time when it was RealityCapture. It's around 22,000 images. So this is the first registration. So what you see, it's just the type points of the registered images. And like this, it was processed in a first step. And now in this part, or in this project, there were not 360 cameras used, but we are still kind of old school in that way, and we are still capturing everything with the camera, even though here we didn't do the capturing. Yeah, so that I have to mention. We have received the images, but overall, when we are doing the entire capture ourselves, we still try to do everything with our fixed lens cameras with like good sensor and yeah, kind of high quality images in order to be able to create all of these high quality results. For Gaussian splats only, there are many people which are using 360 cameras, and it's very good pipeline, very quick. But as we are still combining with all the other technologies, this is the preferred way for us. So here you see, like when we turn this then to Gaussian splats, and I'm just moving it because it's a bit slow movement of the camera, where you can still see then like the water surface. And this is a showcase we like to do, like why it's better having Gaussian splats for the back, even if we don't speak about the target focus, but about the backdrop, is that we are still able to use the light and change the lighting of it. And that's a huge benefit, because otherwise, like always before, what we would do is we would use just the 360 backdrop scenes. Now, using the Gaussian splats, we're able again to use the center of our focus was still photogrammetry, and the backdrops for renderings, so for preparing the entire surrounding, was combined with the Gaussian splats. So this is like the benefit we are always showcasing and explaining, that even though if you say like, hey, Gaussian splat is not good for that and that, then try to just see for what it is good, and then you can combine those technologies. So here you see the pure Gaussian splats, and here you can see just again like in a post shot, like a quick move around, that you see also the splats, and that you see how it was actually trained and processed. And of course, then the second step was to bring it into Unreal Engine, start to do different like lighting setups, lighting conditions, so you see different visuals. But as I was mentioning, it was not only about showcasing that how it is today, but it was more about recreating the story into past. And this looks very simple, like, okay, we have done there a few roofs and it's done. So yeah, there are places where the reconstruction is more complex, and there are reconstructions which are more simple, where I would say from this kind of top view, it's easy. You have just few roofs on top, but we are playing with the rooms, with the stuff, what they have inside, where they were storing food, where they were sleeping, where they were living, and reconstructing the like interiors, exteriors, and everything. And therefore, it got way more complex than just like few roofs on top. And
You
then
mentioned
bringing,
you
yeah,
you mentioned that you needed to put the whole movie, the whole scene into standalone
yeah.
goggles, right? So how did the optimization look like of?
So here we have exactly the clash with that what I was mentioning before, and that's that Gaussian splatting works so far only on the streamed VR, so not the headset only. As we had to move here to headset only, I will come to the reason a bit later. But as we had to go to headset only, we had to also get rid of the Gaussians for the later use. But why it was beneficial was for creating the entire scenes, and having these scenes allow us to bake or create our own 360 backdrops. So the question was, did you use the 360 captures? No, but we were using or creating our own 360 environments, which were always rendered in a proper lighting. So when I just go back, and you see, just to understand what I meant by this, is that we were able to change our lighting. For example, like here, that we wanted to have a sunset. Yeah, so we made a sunset scene, and then we placed here a virtual camera 360, and we've baked the entire environment, the view, and the lighting into our 360 backdrop, which was used in the final project. But for the step in between, we needed to create this image. Otherwise, if we would have the image, or if we would just use 360s from original images, we would be ending up with a scene which was like with the blue touch, and during the sunset you would be seeing difference between lighting. So therefore sometimes it's more complex than just like I use Gaussian splats, I use photogrammetry or something. No, like we are using all these technologies, and you are jumping here and there based on what you really need for the
Whatever to get the job done.
Yes, exactly. You have to find sometimes even pipelines, which, if I explain it now, it probably sounds extremely complex. But otherwise, like we had around 6 different times of the day. That means 6 times we needed like the backdrop scenes in different lighting from the same spots. How to capture that if you, for example, you can't be there after sunset, or like when you need like the dark scenes, or how to capture 360 when it's almost night. So those are the things where you are facing challenges in real life, but if you recreate it in a nice digital way, you are able to just capture it digitally and then use it in the way as if you would capture it properly.
Mhm. In case you wouldn't have these limits with using standalone goggles, so for example, if you would be able to use streamed VR, would you be able to use fully the Gaussian splatting on the
Yes.
background?
Yes, and we would actually do. So here, that's something what like if we would just come back to the project I was showing before with this one castle, where we have the entire surrounding from Gaussian splats directly, because that's much easier. Because then you just like you really create a Gaussian splat surrounding, you place it in the scene, and you keep it there, and you are just changing the light on it. So that would be ideal scenario for us as well, because it would save like, I don't know, 60% of the work just for optimizing it for headset only.
Mhm. Do you have more videos there, or I
Yes.
just pulled off? Okay, so I'm sharing this back.
Yeah, so here you can see it already with the lead scene, so with some setup lighting, with the roofs, with combination of like real 3D backgrounds, and those are the data we have in the headset on the end. So also like very unique part of this project was that, and now we can come to the point, like why we use the headset only, is that for these venues, for this VR movie, can see up to also above 100 people at one time. That means we would not be able to stream through current available Wi-Fi network that many headsets. So you are able to stream in a high quality, maybe 16 headsets per venue, and then you are fulfilled the Wi-Fi kind of channels. So actually, like the current technology which we are using, or which is available on the market, doesn't allow you to create something like this. So we have like fully standalone applications installed in the headsets, but what you are streaming is the position of people and position of like the communication between the people inside of the venue. So you can see your neighbors, you can see people around you, and that's what runs through a server then. So here you can see some movement around. And what I was telling, so now jumping away from the realistic environments, was that we had to go through a design and development of the characters, so sketching characters, then animating them, like with motion capture, and you can see like the person, like that one, is exactly doing this movement. And that was also like a nice part of the project. So all the movements we had to animate, we had to play it as with real actors. Yeah, some kids like dancing. If I just move it, like the kid is here jumping and dancing, and that's all like not part of the scanning part, but then you combine it. And moving forward, it was like you have to get it into the venues, like, and how you play so many people in at one place. So you can see amount of headsets. We had like over 100 headsets in the venues. The venues are not ours, that's our client who ordered it, and they are running the venues. You can also see on the website, that's Fever application, where you can buy the tickets as well. And the process of like getting it into venue means going there always on site. You have to have the tracking points on the walls. You have to install the headsets, test all of them, set them up for every place. And so as you can see it here, and then you have some backend, you have people running in there. So that's generally how it looks, the process of the installation. And what you see then inside is like, this is like a short trailer where you can see it, and you can see also the characters. This is like a traveling in time. So you are starting in the travel agency, and then a robot guide is flying with you because he's bringing you back to 15th century, and he's explaining you and showing you all the places and what people are doing there. You see the avatars like this walking with you. That's your friends visiting the experience. And this is generally it. Like, that's how we recreate the real places into immersive experiences.
We have a question about motion capture suits.
Yes, they were Xsense. Yeah,
So Xsense is the brand of
brand. Yes.
of suits. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here is a ND8 probably a question, but
Yes.
let's deal with this. What was the overall budget?
Yeah, as you said, like those projects. This is not a like project for our own. That's a project for a client, and like through the NDAs and contracts, we cannot share the details about it.
Let's say you wouldn't be able to do it under 10K.
Yeah, it took us 1 year almost to process everything. So it was like big project.
And what was the size of the team and production time? You already said it was over the year.
So in a peak of that project, because like you don't need across the entire project the same amount of people, but in a peak we had like 35 people working on that project, which is, I would say, like quite a big team for a production like that.
The question from Klaman is how basically, how did you deliver the project? So just repeat that it's still being delivered, if I understand right.
The project is running, so it's running since April, so almost like 3/4 of the year, and it's delivered. It's like closed application on Unreal Engine, so it's more like a VR movie, because it's not a game where you can do some changes, or you can, I don't know, like collect the score. It's not a game, it's really a movie. So you that what you deliver, it's like a headset where you have the application, and the clients are coming there, and or like the visitors are going there, and only seeing and seeing the movie. But the part of the project was not only the movie, but the entire system, which is like supporting the collaborative functions and all of that.
So front end, back end, and basically
Then
the all
backend, yeah.
hardware used, and you
Yeah.
have to manage everything, right, around the
So
movie.
yeah, exactly, like hardware stuff or like the venue coverage, we do support that. We created the patterns which are tested for doing the good tracking, but the production of the patterns is on the client side. So it all depends, like what is requested.
Yeah, did I wanted to ask, like those
Patterns.
walls
Yeah.
and patterns all over the place, are these like suggested by the hardware developer, or was this designed only by you? And
Yes. Yes. So you have certain suggestions. That means like the tracking system works in a certain way. So you need like a contrast points, you need edges, you need light and dark colors, and there are the applications how you can on which you can test whether your pattern is proved or whether it's good for the experience, and you have certain percentage. That means you can reduce the amount of patterns, you can reduce the amount of graphics, which would work for not crowded room, for example. Because if you have like 10 people in the room, you don't really need to take care of the great coverage on the walls. The worst problem comes when you have 50 people around you and your headset is able to track only on like 1 square meter somewhere. And that 1 square meter has to deliver enough of contrast points that the experience is not sliding. And what that means, that if you don't have if we would have a wide room, for example, without any patterns, and you would move with the head, the experience inside would move with you. So that means you wouldn't turn around and see what is around you, but the picture would go with you, and you would be just moving around and not really seeing other sides. So not rotating in the 360, but rotating with the entire picture.
Mhm. Did you use Unreal only for your convenience, or is it the only way how to do such project? Could you do this in Unity, for example?
Most of the companies are using Unity, so Unity is more straightforward for these kind of experiences. But the Unreal has always better visuals. That means like you are dealing between like simpler production, or like kind of like better options for the visuals. So, and also the thing that we are going from scanned environments and from realistic environments, as now also RealityScan is part of the Epic family. It means the pipelines are more straightforward to go from realistic environments to Unreal Engine to VR. So if you would be just building from scratch something what doesn't exist, I would say like it doesn't really matter which software you use. So you can then, up to your convenience, up to your experience, you can pick either one or the other one. Both has benefits and has pros and cons, but yeah, we are focused on that our pipeline, which always brings Unreal in game.
Mhm. Was this one-time project, or are you preparing any other projects?
Yes, it was not one time project. Yeah. So this goes on, and
Something you can
here I
disclose,
have to
or
cut it.
is
So
it again
and
NDA?
again NDA, but yes, there are more projects. We have also other projects currently in process where we actually, and it's even project which is there over 3 years. but it's also a challenging one where we are bringing the VR experience on roller coaster and on the real one. That means you are sitting on a roller coaster and having a headset, and then you're riding inside of different environments. And that's also like a nice challenge.
Mhm. Great. I would like to use maybe last 5-10 minutes of our discussion to our 3 days conference. So maybe for last 10 seconds, I will show again the website where you guys can experience the VR venues with the Machu Picchu. You can see the map of venues there, and again, I have experienced it. It's great, so I can just recommend this. Perfect. So, just I've been speaking about this many times, but you can give us a little brief of what we actually did with the free dice this year in Prague.
Last year or this year, it was in April, we had the first 3 days, and it was not requested, but most of our speakers were speaking about Gaussian splats. And even from the survey later, we got a lot of feedback that people learn so much about Gaussian splats and that they really start to believe in it. uh, we think that it's again like a topic of the year, and we want to continue in this. So we'll be speaking a lot about Gaussian splats. We'll be showing more about not only our projects, but we have already like a great partners and speakers there, which I believe we are able to mention it right with like our
Intergeo?
Intergeo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So last year we had one of the three main partners was Intergeo. We were following the collaboration in Germany, where we were participating at Intergeo and bringing their reality capturing topics. And next year we are continuing with this great collaboration, and Intergeo is again big part of our conference, and then it should follow and follow. So yeah, that's for me like the like main teaser of that.
Yes, as Tomas said, we didn't really mean this year for it to be focused on Gaussian splatting, because when we started to prepare this conference, we knew about the 3D Gaussian splatting. We were using it. We were seeing the hype, but we were not sure whether we should go all in with the 3D Gaussian splatting. We're still not going all in with 3D Gaussian splatting, but it is going to play a big part on next year's 3 days, because I mentioned it in different webinars. We can see the biggest brands in our industry going with 3D Gaussian splatting, whether it's hardware or software producers or service providers. They are all jumping on this train. So we think it's really very important to pay attention to it, and we can just promise you to bring the most clever guys from this industry to Prague, and the greatest companies out there. So can you just go back in your mind, Thomas, to 3 days event in Prague this year? What was the best thing you can, like, what is the first thing you always remember about this event?
It's the best starts with the first, right? So we had a lot of great speakers, and I'm just now thinking because I don't want to really put anybody ahead, but we had our great friend Ted, which was a speaker who was the first on our conference. So first speaker, first year, and he started with 20-minute video presentation. And the feedback was from everybody crazy, because everybody said like, we never saw something like this. So no slideshow, no clicking. He just timed it 20 minutes that he will be speaking and video will be running. So that was, besides of his like extensive experience and that he's like a great person, that was like extremely unique for me, and I always have this in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
you?
Uh, one of the greatest things about 3 days, I think, was the networking part. part, and the way how our moderator Juraj Holub, how he handled the whole event, because from the very first minute he went through some small networking sessions, always engaging the audience, using Slido. I have never seen it used before like that. He was always asking people some questions and asking them to vote for uh, either some interesting showcases, or asking them about the questions for the speakers. So he was doing this really in a very engaging way. So I really liked this part, and we did receive an amazing feedback on also on our VIP event, right? We did this boat cruise on a river during the sunset, with the food, with the drinks.
Yeah, that was nice.
So
That
it
was
was not
great.
only very romantic, but also with really very very interesting people. There were almost all the speakers. There were almost all the partners. So if you really want to make great connections in a little bit smaller environment and a closed group, then I would suggest to go with the VIP next year again.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I hope we'll see many of you joining us, and we still see a lot of questions in there. So I promise I will try to get back to the questions and answers to whom we didn't answer, also after this webinar. And maybe just one technical point. I saw that there was an issue for someone who wanted to buy a ticket, so we'll solve this.
Just send us
So
the
so
private
don't
message
so
and we will
don't
solve
don't
it.
don't worry. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, so there are several questions, like whether it's 2 days. Yeah, it will be 2 days, but the night before the first day is the VIP event.
And yes,
Then
Yuri will be the host.
Uri will be the host again, or the moderator. Yeah, that looks to be all for now from questions. Thank you so much, Thomas. It was really great to have you here.
Thank you very
I
much.
hope you are already looking forward to Christmas and the holidays.
You know that, yes. It was a long year, and yeah, looking forward to spend some time with my family as well. So I
Sure,
wish you
sure.
also a great holidays, and also to everybody here. Yeah, thank you very much for joining this time before Christmas, and yeah, hope to see you.
Guys, if you will be doing some mind sessions towards next year, always remember today is against my religion. So let it be also against your religion. Let's do it in 3D everything. Thank you very much for watching these webinars towards the end of the year. I'll be starting with those as soon as possible in next year as well, and I'm really looking forward to next great guests. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day.